I'll tell you a small story. How did the accreditation system started in this world? Benefits come later. How did the system started? Say it was during the Second World War in 1943 that the British Army ordered some bullets to an Australian company. And the bullets, when they arrived at the Britain for the war, the bullets did not fit into the barrel. That means the measurement taken in Australia and the measurement taken in Britain was different. So that was the reason which called for a program of laboratory accreditation system. That was the first time when NATA Australia established a laboratory accreditation system. Then New Zealand also followed that. Then after the war ended, everybody slept. It was in 1977, Americans realized that this is a very important program, which will help in making good quality products. Europeans also realized at the same time. So there was a race. ILAC was established in 1977, the document which is shown here. So that was the time when the scenario changed. The products were based on backup testing by the laboratories, which come into the market. In 1981, India also realized that we should also have a program. The Planning Commission in Delhi requested the Department of Science and Technology that please initiate a program where the quality of products which are put into the market for public use, they should be of good quality. All my colleagues who are of my age, at that time we were very fascinated when somebody was gifting us some toaster, some mixie, imported Panasonic, because India was not manufacturing any good products. Some products were available, but that was not a good quality. So the realization was there that we should have good quality products in the market. So India was not far behind in 1981 when Americans and Europeans were thinking in 77 that we have this program. Of course, it took a lot of time to roll out the program. We could only roll out this program in 1989. So this is how the accreditation system started. Now, the most important thing, what was mentioned here, is the global trade, equivalence of reports. That means a laboratory which is doing a testing in India, an accredited laboratory which is doing test in India, and if the same sample is sent to Japan and testing is done, the result should be same. This is the program. So here it comes how the equivalence of reports is done. That is the reason I trace back when Britain ordered the bullets to Australia, they were a different size, the measurements were different. So now a lot of examples are there. There can be many more examples. One good example which I say, when the laboratory is accredited, they are doing good job. The employees are also motivated, somebody said. The customer is also satisfied. The employee can ask for a salary rise. This is the best benefit growing out of accreditation. And it is true. All the people who are running an accredited laboratory, you get a MD at 1 lakh rupee. Within 6 months, he will say, give me 1.25 lakhs. And when he's more experienced, he'll go to another laboratory. So this is the best benefit, I would say.
I think we agree with you.
Not only they can ask for more money, there's a threat also. If you don't give, I'll go and join another laboratory. Another laboratory which is going for accreditation will say, I'll pay you 100 rupees more, come and join me. But they want this person to share their experience. Yes.
One more topic we have put in that is evaluation and audit.
Yeah.
How important do you think is audit? Identify the weaknesses, we'll have to do the internal audit. Okay.
Internal audits helps in identifying what are all the pitfalls that we are facing before any external person comes.
Pitfalls, identifying the pitfalls.
So we can put them in management review meetings and correct what are the lacunae in the audits.
Findings of the internal audit are discussed at the management review meeting.
So it's basically an introspection, and we know our weaknesses, we know our strengths. We can definitely improve upon the whole thing and improve the quality of the lab and whole sense.
So identify the weaknesses and strengths and work upon those weaknesses and improve upon them. Very good.
Daily in our department, we do clinical audit. So in that, we have a checklist. In that we find the number of pre-analytical errors, analytical, that is the examination errors, post-analytical, number of cartridges used, revenue generated, everything we analyze there. And we find out the remedial actions for those things.
So in the examination area, pre-examination area and post-exam, they would like to capture the errors that take place. And also they would like to have a good inventory control. Inventory control.
Internal audits are very thorough. It should be internal audit should be 100%, and it should be for all the tests, different tests. Now what we have in the NABL is that you do cross audits, like a biochemistry person goes for microbiology and a microbiologist person goes for hematology. In that scenario, there may be some finer nuances that can be missed out by the internal auditor. So what do we do about that? That is a question for me. Finer nuances like technical things which may be missed out by the internal audit person.
No, because the auditor should be independent of the activity. Her question is, when a technical audit is done by another person who doesn't belong to that area, how do you address these? That is her doubt.
On what basis you are doing? You show me the procedure. Are you following the procedure? You demonstrate. Therefore, auditor will only see what is done is what is according to what is written, and what is documented. What outcome of what is done is documented. In fact, a good auditor will be able to audit if anywhere, but we are not supposed to audit our own work. Means within the biochemistry or within the microbiology, the person who is not doing that activity, if it is done by somebody, they can audit. Better if technically speaking, it becomes easier, smoother.
Because any auditing, they can go through the whole process and find out whether everything is in place or not. Now, just to answer what Dr. Madam said, now what we do during the internal audit is that we issue them the checklist. That minimum what is there in the checklist, they have to do the audit. Then over that, if an extra area is to be audited, that is left to the auditor.
So they prepare a checklist, and as per the checklist, the audit is carried out. But yeah, I think sir will have to answer about this.
No, all audits, whether internal audit or the second party audit, is all 100% audit. Only that third party, not the owner, not the user, that is that accreditation body, when they come and conduct audit, there because of limitations on time, and also they know that audit is already done, then assessment becomes sample audit. Assessment is sample audit, whereas audit is a total audit.
See, when you say sample audit, probably what you mean is that during a given audit cycle, you are looking at part of the activity. But when your multiple audit cycles are there, you must ensure that all activities pertaining to pre-examination, examination, and post-examination should be complete. So probably you should understand here that in this respect, the internal audit is definitely a more powerful tool than the external audit, because external audit is only a sampling activity. Internal audit should be designed in such a manner that it covers all activities in all three limbs of your quality management system.
When we say sample audit in internal audit, I will tell you what it means. If there are 6 different methods, under each method there are 10 different analytes estimated. One analyte is checked under that method, then we presume all other analytes under that method is complying with that. That becomes, out of 200 tests carried out, I may take first 2 tests, middle another 2-3 tests, last 1-2-3 tests to review. That becomes sampling. Statistical sampling is always applicable in internal audit also.
Okay. We have now a small presentation on a SOP of examination documentation. It is not listed, but kindly, it is a part of probably this, it is a part of the earlier one. Yeah, please, carry on. Please take the mic.
I will now be projecting an SOP that has been written. And what you have to do is just look at whatever is written there and try to make out what is the lacunae, what are the points which are missing. Purposely, certain things have not been written down as per what the standard says. So you have to just look at it carefully and try and identify those things which should have been there which are not there in the SOP. It's an SOP that has been written for just estimation of glucose. Purpose of the examination. Is it okay? The first thing that we need to write down is why we are doing that, what is the purpose of the test. But if you look at the first thing that is written, the principle and the method used. Before that, for the quantitative measurement of glucose. Is the purpose of the examination, has it been written well enough? Purpose of the examination for the quantitative measurement of glucose. Yes, where glucose, yes, whether you're going to measure glucose in plasma, in serum, or maybe any other biological fluid that has not been mentioned. So that is something which needs to be definitely written down when you write the SOP. What is the purpose of the examination is not complete until you tell in which type of fluid or way you want to intend, what is the intention of the particular test. Principle and method used. Hexokinase method has been mentioned, and the whole principle has been written down, what is the principle of the method that is used. So I think that part of it is all right. Now you come to the performance characteristics. Measuring range, 2 to 750 milligram per dl. Limit of blank, 2 milligram per dl. Limit of detection, 2 milligram per dl. Limit of quantification, all these are there. Anything more that needs to be there? Interfering substances. Performance characteristics, what do you mean by interfering substances there? Hemolysis would come a little later. Here, performance characteristics, what else does it include? Now, the measuring range is written as 2 to 750. Is it possible to measure beyond that? It is possible. So don't you think that needs to be written? What is on dilution? What else? What further you can measure? That is not there. And what about precision? There is no mention of precision. Is the method specific? That has also not been mentioned. So there are some things which needs to be included in the performance characteristics. Then this type of sample, serum or plasma. Anything else that could be added on there? Yes, CSF, the same method can be applied for CSF, it can be done on pleural fluid and so on. So what are all the various fluids that can be analyzed using, all of them should be included. Anything you would like to add?
If they are not doing any other samples, only blood means that is sufficient. No, if they are not doing glucose estimation of CSF or body fluids, that is sufficient.
Yes. If you, in your lab, you are not going to accept any other sample, you can restrict to only these. Any other type of test that we do on samples when we collect, when it comes to estimation of glucose, you could have patients coming in for glucose testing when you do a glucose tolerance test or a glucose challenge test. All of these also needs to be included. Environment and safety controls not applicable. You think it's okay? Why do you feel it is something needs to be written there? While carrying out the test, what are the precautions that you need to take? That needs to be mentioned. We cannot say not applicable. How are you going to dispose of the waste? How are you going to handle the samples? All of those also needs to be mentioned. Calibration. 2-point calibration is mentioned using a particular calibrator. Procedural steps, NA as it is fully automated. Is it okay to write like that? How do you think we could write better? You need to include some details of how the procedure is carried out. Quality control procedures, 2 levels of Biorad controls run twice daily. Is it okay? Or do you need to specify that you're going to do the at what time? Before running the patient samples in the morning once, and again whether you're going to run it in the evening or in the afternoon and so on. Interferences are mentioned here. Icterus, hemolysis, lipemia. biological reference intervals, clinical decision value, ADA guidelines followed, that has been given. Is it adequate? ADA guidelines followed. You have to mention specifically what is further, what exactly is meant by ADA guidelines. You have to specify actually what comes under this heading of ADA guidelines, what is the reference interval when the cutoff when you look at fasting, postprandial, and so on. Laboratory clinical interpretation has been given, and potential sources of variation is written as not applicable. Then the reference has been given. Anything else which you feel that is missing in the whole thing? Okay. What is the type of collection tube? It has not been mentioned. What is the volume of blood to be collected? What type of collection tubes? And so on. Those points are also missing in this. And anything else? Time. Critical alerts has not been mentioned, right? What is considered as the critical limit for low and for hypo and hyperglycemia has not been mentioned. Anything else? Sample retention, okay. Would you call this a proper document? There is no header, there is no footer. Who has prepared this? When has this been prepared? No signature, nothing. So it cannot be called a proper document at all. So unless for each SOP, you should definitely have the document identifiers. You should have a header, and you should have a footer with all the details. The person who has prepared this particular SOP, and with the signature, with the date, version number, all of those also needs to be written. So all you have to do is, if there is, you have a list of things that come, there are a lot of things, a whole entire list of things listed here. It is as per 15189. Purpose of the examination, principle and method of procedure used for the examination, performance characteristics, type of sample, patient preparation, type of container and additives, required equipment and reagents, environmental and safety controls, calibration procedures, procedural steps, quality control procedures, interferences, principle of procedure for calculating results, including where relevant, the measurement uncertainty of measured quantity values, that has not been mentioned, biological reference intervals, reportable interval of examination results, instructions for determining quantitative results when a result is not within the measurement interval, that was missing in that. Alert critical values, laboratory clinical interpretation, potential sources of variation, and references. So if you keep this while you prepare your SOP, it would be the ideal way of doing it. I think most of the defects you were able to, most of it you were able to get the answers to.
Okay, the last presentation is not there, but I'll speak for a few minutes just to tell you about the international recognition. We were talking about internal audits, external audits, and I would like to share with you the NABL being audited by APLAC. So just my thought. See, what happens is when we were, it was in 2000, when we thought that we should have international recognition, the equivalence of one country and other country should be there. So we applied for APLAC as a member. And a team of 4 evaluators came to India, and they went through the records. They interviewed our staff. They observed our accreditation committee meetings. They observed a training program. Then they also went to the laboratories and observed how our assessors are doing their job. So are they doing a job as per the requirements of a standard? The standard is 17011. And the final report submitted by them did not contain a single non-conformity. So Enable was evaluated with no non-conformity. And so this was a big achievement. Now this process is repeated every 4 years, 2004, 2008, 2012, and now we are due for evaluation in July 2016. And to add here, in 2004, 8 and 12, again we did not face any non-conformity. So this was a marvelous achievement by Enable. Now why this system, why it happened? There are two reasons for that. One is our assessment process is so robust that when we send a team of assessors to the laboratory, they submit a report. That report is again evaluated by accreditation committee. Now in the accreditation committee, there are members who have done 100 assessments, and they evaluate the performance of the assessors who have done this assessment. Well, the system is so robust that there are no chances that there will be any slippage of decision making. So that's one robustness that we did not face non-conformity. Second thing is the assessor course which Enable is doing is a 5-day assessor course, and it is followed by examination. Now when there is examination after the course, the people are serious, and of course their credibility will be more than without examination. In other economies, I've seen that there is no examination. There's a 4-day, 5-day course, and there is no examination. And in some countries, it is a web-based course. The assessors are made based on web training. So these are the two reasons what makes our Enable accreditation system very robust. Well, now we are ready for the July 2016 evaluation, and what we have done is we are adding 2 more scopes. We started a program on PT provider accreditation about 3 years back. We have done 10 accreditation, out of which I think 4 are in medical. 4 PT providers are in medical. And we have also started a program last year, that is the reference material producer accreditation, and we have done 1. But we have targeted to do 20 each in next 2 years. And what we are going to do, we are going to add this as a scope for APLAC, which is going to evaluate us. So soon we'll be recognized internationally. The PT programs what are being done, they'll be internationally requested. Now, very interesting thing to tell you, that India has emerged as the 2nd largest lab accreditation body in the world, with 3,200 laboratories accredited. And 700 are medical laboratories. And the 700 medical laboratories is the largest medical laboratory accreditation in the world. So this is a big achievement. And the first one in the laboratory accreditation is China. China has done 7,000 plus. Of course, it's a very large number. But I would say, if you add up the scopes of Indian laboratories, it will be larger than China. In China, what happens is, there is a laboratory which is specific to refrigeration testing. That's all. Mass calibration, metallurgy testing. But India, it is not so. There is a laboratory in India, Shri Ram Test House, in Delhi and Bangalore. We were preparing their certificate. You name a product. You name a product, they are testing it. The certificate runs into 400 pages. One of my officers took 1 month to check the whole certificate. So this is a large scope, and there are many laboratories like this. So if you add up the scopes of Indian laboratories, probably it will be larger than China. So, so we have a lot of milestones to achieve now. Today, as I'm saying, we are 3,200 laboratories, though it looks a very large number compared to the world, but our targets are very high. Probably, I'll say, in next 5 to 10 years, we will be having 10,000 medical laboratories and 10,000 testing laboratories. Clap for India.
I take this opportunity to thank Shri Anil Relia. It's not every day that you get to see a director of NABL, and we should consider ourselves very fortunate that he took his time out, came and spent a lot of time with us, and he has, elaborated on the global perspectives of accreditation and all that. I think we should all put our hands together and give him it. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I've already given. Now we'll have to adjourn to the opposite hall, where we have the valedictory function.
I have a small clarification or doubt because we always in the lab we talk of sample transport. Now I feel personally that we do have problems with the QC transport as well as the reagent transport also. So I want the comment from the expert panel, please. Yes, reagent and the quality control also, because transport of that from the company to the end point.
All biological samples, they have a shelf life. Even the QC materials, they have a little longer shelf life. However, it is the responsibility of the QC provider to say what is the stability, and here the problem is it passes through several hands. It is dispatched from the main factory, goes to a transport dealer, sub-dealer, sub-dealer, and when it comes to a city like Mangalore, some local agent will also collect it. Whether he has the entire supply cold chain is maintained or not is what is to be assured. If that is ensured, then we can. There is another way of checking, like kits and reagent checking, with already used reagent or kit using quality control material. It is retested, is in-house verification, that also it should pass the test. Otherwise we should not accept it, and we can always demand the supply cold chain maintenance. I am sure, Jairam, we always ask vendors to provide the certificate. That certificate will suffice as far as accreditation is concerned. As far as laboratory work is concerned, it should be realistic, because patients, otherwise there will be risk to the patient.
Okay. We'll close down this session. The next session is in the other hall. So we move to the other hall. Thank you very much.